Welcome to Goodbye 20s, where parenting is not picture perfect. It is a full-blown circus. We will cover the chaos, hilarity, and shocking moments that come with raising kids. Let's dive into the kind of stories you just can't make up. All right, it's episode 1 of what we've decided on the name as Goodbye 20s, just sticking with my normal branding that I've had across TikTok and Instagram and YouTube.
Goodbye 20s. Welcome to your 30s. I like it.
And I feel like a lot of people might not know the reasoning behind the name Goodbye 20s. So I think that's probably a good place to start. I started all of my social media channels when I turned 30. It was a fun thing to do in a new decade. Kind of learning new skills and having a fun creative outlet to show like all the ideas and things that I was already doing at home. So it's kind of just like the name is kind of like celebrating the things that can happen in your 30s, because I think my 30s have been really good.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think back that like right when you started that, it was in the right in the midst of COVID.
It was.
Like a lot of good things came from COVID.
Okay.
Like Uber Eats and like grocery deliveries and Goodbye 20s.
Mm-hmm. So episode 1, I decided that we should talk about all things Disney, because we didn't really start going to Disney really until we were in our 30s and taking our kids.
Yeah.
Like we went as kids, but there was like a good 15, 20 year gap where we like did not go to anything Disney related until our kids were old enough to like be asking to go and like want to go to Disney.
Totally. And the first time we went to Disney with Tate was like a week before everything shut down for COVID.
It was.
Which was a wild trip in general.
But the other reason I wanted to talk about Disney is because there's been a couple interesting headlines kind of going across social media lately related to Disney that I wanted to show you and talk about that are pretty interesting.
All right, I'm down.
But before we start, we do have a really funny story of something that happened to us at Disneyland. Both of us tend to be very observant of things around us. That is kind of how our relationship started. Like even on our first date, like we both just loved looking at the dynamics of couples and families and people around us.
For sure. We definitely love a good like people watching situation and like dissecting it like after the fact and like talking about the dynamics of the situation.
So definitely in a place like Disneyland, we're like, obviously having fun and keeping track of our kids, but there's like a lot of crazy stuff that's going on around you.
For sure. And I think Disney, like, because it's like such a sensory overload and everything is just so like hyped up, it like totally amplifies that drama where like a tiny little thing that normally wouldn't start a fight like sets like somebody completely over the edge with like their partner.
Yes. I think we were talking actually on that last Disney trip, we were talking about how good of a podcast episode talking about Disney would be, because like you said, like you're hot. It's totally overstimulating. Your kids are like extra hard. For a lot of families, there's this crazy added pressure of trying to make the most out of the insane amount of money that you spent on those like 3 days.
For sure.
And then on top of that, I feel like if your relationship is already struggling or you have a in your relationship, it's going to be amplified at Disney.
Most definitely. Yes. Happiest place on earth.
Yes, it can be. But the one incident I want to talk about is the popcorn incident.
Oh, yes. I had a feeling this is where you were going. This was a good one.
Yes. So this was towards the end of our trip, and there was like one of those snack carts. So a snack cart just like kind of along a pathway that sells like popcorn and ice cream and waters.
Yep.
And the kids wanted ice cream. So we decided to take a break, get some ice cream bars, and just sit on these benches, like kind of across from where the snack cart was. And I was more focused on the kids, like especially our 2-year-old, because she had a chocolate ice cream bar and I didn't want that all over her clothes. So I was kind of focused on that. But you definitely...
I was like keyed in on this situation.
So I'm going to let you take the reins on that one.
So we were on the bench and it was right by where Star Wars Land, like exit is. And there was this family that you could already tell was like on the verge of a breakdown. And a kid like really wanted to get like the rainbow colorful popcorn. And she was like raising her voice at her parents about it. And they finally just like gave in and they decided that she could have the popcorn. And within like 10 seconds of getting the popcorn and leaving, the poor little girl like fumbled the popcorn bag with like buttery fingers from the popcorn and it all fell on the ground. And the dad like absolutely like just came unglued and lost it. And then the mom got like really upset that the dad like reacted like that. And they got in just like a full on like tussle about it. Like just like, don't talk to me like that. Do not raise your voice at me. Like, and then you like keyed in on that point. Like, I feel like what else happened? I remember it just being like over the top drama.
I think how it started is the girl said she wanted popcorn and the dad said no. And the mom said yes. And that's kind of where the tension started. The other really good part to that story is that this was like in the middle of a really busy walkway and they were just like completely blocking the flow of people walking while they were having this argument. And like a good like 2 or 3 different people like made like rude comments to them, like, get out of the way, like move to the side.
And then it like amped it up because they were like just going at it.
Yes. And then after that happened, I think she went to go move the stroller, but the brakes were on.
Yes.
And I think the stroller either tipped over or all their drinks spilled out the top.
It was definitely either the stroller tipped over. No, it was all their stuff fell out. And then the dad was like, just like not having it. And the mom finally like was like, we're at Disneyland. I'm going to see if they'll just refill the popcorn, which they obviously did. Like the people at the popcorn stand, like you could tell like felt bad. So they were just like, here's another popcorn. And I can't remember exactly how it happened, but the dad just ended up like storming off.
Yeah. And that was kind of the end of it.
Yeah.
But I think that was the loudest like verbal argument we've ever witnessed.
For sure.
At Disneyland.
Yes. Agreed.
So that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Okay. The first video, I guess, I want to talk about. So, and there's a lot of different like avenues on this one. So there's an influencer. Her name's Macy Blackwell. She's really big on TikTok and Instagram. And she's married and has 2 kids. I think her kids are maybe like 5 and 8.
Okay. So like young,
like elementary,
but like, okay, got it.
Okay. So they go on a cruise, a Disney cruise, and it's her husband's birthday. And they, in the Bahamas, go to port and decide to leave their kids at the kids club on the ship. And mom and dad leave the ship to go party in the Bahamas.
So like leave them on the ship, go into port.
Yes.
I definitely feel like that's like not allowed. Like I think we've only been on 2 cruises and we definitely haven't done a lot of like kids club adjacent activities, but I feel like there's a rule that would be like, you need to be on the ship, and if like something happens with your kid, we're going to call you and you need to come pick your kid up.
So most cruises tell you have to stay on the ship. For whatever reason, Disney Cruise Line, I think, is like the only one where you can leave your kids on board and you can leave.
So then I guess still controversial, but not breaking a rule.
Well, no. So not technically breaking a rule. I have seen a story where something similar happened and the mom missed the port time, like the call time, like, and her kids were still on board,
which is insane. And then like, what are the people on the cruise just had to watch the kids?
Yeah,
for,
they
like,
said
the rest of
the people that worked in like the kids club had to like take shifts, like watching these like two kids, and the mom had to fly to the next port and get on with her kids.
Absolutely wild. Also, side note, maybe our favorite thing to do when we're on cruises is get back before, like with enough time before the cruise leaves, and sit and watch the people that are like frantically running to try to catch the boat.
Yes.
Very underrated activity.
Yeah.
But I would say feels like a bad parenting call. Like,
it's definitely something that I would never do. I don't even necessarily agree with leaving your kids in the kids club, like to begin with, on a cruise ship. I feel like when you're going on a family vacation, like especially Disney, like you're taking your kids on a Disney cruise, you're paying all this money, and then you're going to leave them like in the kids club
for sure,
and not get to experience the port in the Bahamas together, like as a family.
Yeah, I could see like, you know, maybe you're gonna do like a quick date night dinner, like, or if the kids are just like super into the kids club, like, yeah, sure, drop them off, have fun, like do a couple adult activities. But like being like in a separate country, like away from your kids, like who knows if your cell phone works? Like, did you turn on your like cell phone data to make it where you can get like international calls? Like,
I didn't even think of that.
I feel like my anxiety wouldn't let me do that. But I mean, technically you're not breaking a rule, but it's still, it kind of just gives me like the I don't know if that's a good decision.
So this video got 4 million views and it has 1,400 comments on it.
Well, I'm sure the comment section is wild. I feel like people love a good like parent shame opportunity.
So it's like split 50-50. Also, to add to this video, in the video they're at like some pools, like day club. Dad is like smoking a cigar and pouring drinks, and the mom is wearing like a Playboy-ish like swimsuit and just like dancing around,
just
like
going hard. Like, we're away from the kids, we're gonna let our hair down on the Disney cruise. Like,
yeah, like let's go party.
All right.
So the top comment has 16,000 likes, and it just says, leaving the kids on a cruise ship in another country, scary and negligent.
I love a good, like, just straight and to the point comment like that. It's not even like shameful, but it's just like, maybe you should think about that one again.
Yes. Someone else said, mentioning your kid while posting a thirst trap for attention is diabolical.
This is a very diabolical, solid comment. Whoever posted that comment like deserves like all the likes.
Yeah. Someone else said, when you go to the gym, don't y'all drop your kids in the playroom. Why is this any different? Because it's a boat.
Feels like a significantly different scenario.
Yeah, higher like, stakes because you're not in the same building.
For sure. And like when you're at the gym, you're like you just said, in the same building, you're like within even like earshot of where they're at, and you're working out. You're not like twerking at a club and like going ham with some drinks.
And that's like 1 to 2 hours tops.
For sure.
If you're leaving the boat, maybe taking an Uber to this day club to go party, party, and then come back. Like, they're gone for a majority of the day.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, as we talk more about it, I'm more just like, no way could I do that. I think like you got to be near your kids in case something does happen.
Well, and now we're talking about this. I remembered there was a little bit of follow-up on this video in her Instagram story. So her older daughter, who I guess is maybe a little older than I thought, was old enough to be allowed to sign herself out of the kids club to go eat, roam the boat, and come back to the kids club.
Which makes it like, I mean, a little, even, I don't know, it makes it maybe weirder or a little better. I don't know.
No, it makes it worse.
Like, yeah, true. I mean, I don't know. The boat is safe. Like,
oh, no, there can be any, like, you don't have to have a background check to go on a cruise ship. Like,
yeah.
this little girl is like 10 years old walking around by herself. Like, right. And you're on this boat where someone could just like grab your child and take her and do whatever they wanted with her.
Yeah, true. That is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mom was like, look how cute. She signed her out of the kids club and like met some characters. Like, look, she has a picture with Moana. Like, look, she took a picture with, like, and so she's by herself, like doing all these little fun family moments. Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Sad
like,
and scary.
Absolutely. Most definitely.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. And I am going to link all these videos like and photos that I'm talking about on a new Patreon account that I made. So they can be looked at there. This next one is a picture, and it is two women. Okay. They're a couple, and they're both wearing shirts at Disneyland, and their shirts say happiest childless millennials on earth.
I'm like totally okay and on board with that. Like, I feel like if you're going to make the decision to not have kids and you're like in that full on like dual income, no jobs, like go for it and live your life. Like, I'm like fully on board with it.
It's just an interesting choice for me to take a vacation and spend, I mean, if you're going to Disneyland for even like 2 days, like I still feel like you're spending like $5,000 on that trip. It's just an interesting choice to go and surround yourself with kids and families, but also feel like you have to like brag about the fact that they think they're having more fun than you because they don't have kids.
I mean, I think I could see it that way, but it's like that would be a really weird shirt to wear it somewhere that like wasn't a kid activity. Like, can you imagine seeing like two people wearing that shirt in Vegas? Just like,
you're like, I hope you're childless right now.
For
like,
sure. But it like, I feel like it definitely fits it, but it is like rubbing it in people's face. But I don't hate it. To me, it's kind of funny.
Like, I think I would like maybe like give them a little like ankle check with the stroller.
You do love a good ankle check, and you love like a good, like when we're at Costco and you're driving the cart, I'm always like, oh God, these people better watch out. Like if they get in your way, you're going to hit like their cart, or you might like, you're not going to smoke them, but you definitely give them like a little tap with the cart.
It depends if I have the kids with me or not. Like
for sure.
When I have the kids with me, like I'm not going to raise anything with anybody.
I can get on board with that shirt.
So this picture got a lot of like not so nice comments.
So it wasn't 50-50?
No.
Like very ratioed?
Very much people are angry and upset about this couple. The top comment, there's 21,000 comments. The top comment has 7,000 likes and it just says, "Thank you for not reproducing."
Very, very angry and aggressive.
Lots of comments about how Disney adults are creepy. And then this one I just thought was interesting. It says, "Honestly, if you have to broadcast it that way, they probably really aren't that happy."
Well, and I feel like that's like the worst. Like when you post something on social media, you like potentially were hoping that it went viral for like, when you post it, you're like, I want this to go viral for like the right reasons. And then it like went absolutely the opposite way as what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Like they definitely had a plan with that. Like you made the shirts with the intent of like, okay, let's wear this at Disney. Let's take a picture. Like we're going to like get a ton of people that are like, yeah, good for you. And then it just was like,
yeah. Like, which I agree with, like the whole like slogan on a shirt thing. It's not like our vibe.
Yeah.
And this is like kind of related, but when Tatum was a baby, I just refused to put him in any shirt that said like "happy little guy" or like anything related to that. Because I swore the minute I put him in a shirt like that, it was the worst day ever.
Oh, for sure. It was like he could feel like the energy of the shirt and be like, yeah, you want to see a happy little guy? Like,
yeah. Like it's just like this unwritten rule that if you're putting your baby in a shirt about being happy, like it's just going to go south.
Solid points.
So we just did not have any shirts with sayings on it like that for our kids because it seemed like this bad omen.
Yeah, I think that like the joy of like what I love about this so far is like I feel like I start off with a thought and you're like bringing up all the counterpoints. It feels like you're like the defense lawyer, and now I'm like, yeah, that's a terrible post. I would not do that. Like,
Okay, so the next thing I want to do is we have a couple Disneyland stories from people that have shared with us. So I've heard them. You have not heard it yet. So I'm going to play it for you and then we can talk about the situation.
Awesome.
So we're in line for Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. And this kid
so loud.
So we're in line for Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, and this kid decides the line is way too boring. He starts climbing the ropes like he's training for Ninja Warrior. His parents totally ignore him because they're arguing over Genie Plus reservations or something. Next thing you know, the kid hops over the barrier and starts wandering onto the ride track. Cast members are freaking out, trying to get him back, but the parents don't notice until security literally carries him out. The dad's like, wow, he's adventurous. And the mom just says, we're never doing this again.
Solid. Okay, I love a good like distracted parent, like parents moment where they're just like so in their own world talking about something and you can see it where the kid is like knows that they have the opportunity to go like let their intrusive thoughts win. Like has happened with us a couple times, but like that's definitely an insane situation. Like, I loved the Ninja Warrior comment. Like imagine the kid like warped wall, like jumping over a barrier and just like thinking he's about to go like blast some aliens, like walking on the track.
I think the problem with the way that Disneyland has gone lately is literally one person has to be on their phone so much because all of your Lightning Lane like reservations are on your phone. You're constantly checking wait times on different rides. You are mobile ordering snacks and meals. Like you're taking pictures. You're looking at the map. Like, so I feel like in families, like one person is like the leader of the plan and you have to be like on your phone so much.
For sure. And it's also like there's definitely one person that becomes like, that's their job. But then it's funny, it's happened with us before where like you'll have done it for like 2 days and you get like so fed up with the fact that you're having to be like the one in charge. And then you're like, okay, you're doing it. And then like it'll like happen for like a couple hours, but then you're like, you kind of suck at this. Like I'm taking over. And I think that there's like, that's a good call. I feel like Disney has definitely forced you to like, you have to be on your phone and tied to your phone way more than you would have. Like, so it definitely brings open, like you're open towards that distracted, like, and then you get the people that just walk around staring at the phone to file the map or like where they're going next. And they like the worst are the people that just stop right in the middle of an aisleway.
Okay, next options are something that happened at Disneyland with the TV remote from home, or sneaking kids in for free.
Gotta go sneaking kids in for free.
So we're in line for Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster.
No, that's what I just did.
Hi, this is Jamie from San Diego. I was at Disneyland last weekend, and let me tell you, people will do anything to save a buck. I'm in line at the entrance when I see this mom with a stroller and a kid who is clearly not 2 or under. I mean, the kid had to be like 5 or 6. He's sipping a soda, wearing a Mickey hat, and straight up saying, "Mom, I'm not a baby." The mom tries to brush it off, telling the cast member, "Oh, he's just big for his age." But they weren't buying it. When they asked for proof of age, the mom got flustered and started arguing. Meanwhile, the kid keeps blowing her cover, yelling, "Why are we lying?" At this point, the cast member calls security over, and it gets intense. The mom tries to argue her way out, but security isn't having it. They escorted her out of the line, and later I heard she was banned from Disneyland for trying to sneak her kid in. Honestly, it was wild to see, and all I could think was it really worth it?
Solid. Definitely takes like some serious, like that's like a gutsy call to be like, let's just put him in the stroller. Like I could see it like when they're maybe like 3.5, like there's definitely some 3-year-olds that like you could be like, they're close enough. But like to do that with a 5-year-old that's like fully talking, like the difference between a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old is insane. Like,
yeah, there was a story just back in September, and a lady tried to do that with 2 of her kids and get them both in. And she said they were under 3, and she ended up getting arrested.
I mean, technically you are trying to steal by doing that.
Well,
like,
I don't think she didn't get arrested for sneaking them in. She got arrested for like
the way she was acting.
Yeah, like she was like raising a lot of commotion
for sure
about the situation.
I mean, like more power to her for like sticking with the bit. Like I'm just gonna get real angry and they're gonna definitely believe that they're under 3.
Yeah, but
that's insane.
I mean, your kids are watching you get arrested.
Oh yeah, terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying more just like hey, go for it. If you're gonna go for it, like commit all the way. But absolutely wild. I also love the part where she said that the kid was just like snitching on her, like, "Mom, why are you making me lie?"
Yes.
Like definitely not a great way to model behavior that you want your kids to follow, like going into the future.
There was a story, or someone posted in a Facebook group, like a Disney Moms Facebook group, and she said, we're going to Disneyland, like my son will be turning 3 in the middle of our trip. So like technically one day of the trip, he's going to need a ticket. Like, do you think it's okay, or should I buy him a ticket? And like people were all over in the comments, like back and forth. And so then the lady decided to, I think, just call like customer service and like ask what she should do. And I'm trying to remember what they said about that last day, but what I remember from the story is they told her she needed to bring an original birth certificate
Insane.
with her. Like, not even a copy.
Which I could see where they're going with that. Like, it feels like you're like, normally what I've learned from like managing employees through work is like, the more that someone gives you like a story when it comes to anything, it usually backs up the fact that they're embellishing and lying. Like, if somebody texts me and just says like, hey, I'm sick and I'm not coming to work, you're like, okay, cool, thanks for letting me know. If someone's like, hey, I have 103-degree fever and I like was up till 2:00 last night throwing up, like, the more details they add to it, the more you start thinking like, why are you like building up this story? So I feel like that's where Disney was like, wow, you're giving me like way too much info here. Like, now, like, bring the receipts, like, show me what you're telling me here. Like, and I feel like they're gonna like stick to their policy. Like, if he legit turns 3 on the day that the second day you're there, like, Disney's answer is going to be like, he doesn't have to pay for a ticket on day 1 and he needs to pay for a ticket on day 2.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like that's probably what they said.
I just love the thought of like a 5-year-old like chugging on like a Coca-Cola and just being like, Mom, like, why are you asking me to lie?
Yeah, 5 is a reach.
For sure. And like seeing like a 5-year-old in a stroller too, like, you can tell that they're not 2.
I did see this video that went viral on TikTok, and they put what looked like a 5-year-old in, like, you know, the infant like bucket car seats you kind of carry around. So the 5-year-old was like in that, and then they had the thing pulled like all over like their head, and then they had just like a super long blanket draped over the stroller, and their legs were just like hanging straight down out of the bucket car seat.
I mean, it's a better like attempt than just like throwing him in a stroller and being like, my kid is 2. Like, I feel like at least at that point you're like, yeah, like, maybe more believable.
Yes. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about. There is a Reddit post going viral. It has 48,000 likes. And before I start reading it, the controversy in the comments is, did somebody make up this story or is it real? I was in line for Space Mountain when this mom behind me started loudly asking her husband why some grown man would come to Disney alone and how it was creepy. I tried ignoring her, but actually she tapped my shoulder and demanded to know why I was there without any kids. I turned around and said my wife and 6-year-old were supposed to be here, but they tested positive for COVID. Would you rather that I brought them? The look on her face was priceless. Her husband looked mortified and pulled her away. The cast member heard everything and gave me a free fast pass for another ride. Just because someone's alone at Disney doesn't mean they're up to something weird. Sometimes life doesn't just go as planned.
I feel like could be somewhat believable, but also feels like it's just like fishing for comments and made up. Like, there's so many points where there's people that are at Disney that are by themselves. Like,
yes,
there's like rider swaps, or like there's like, hey, I want to go ride this ride, like, and like you hang and feed the kids.
Which we've done that. Like, our like son doesn't like roller coasters and we love roller coasters. So we've like swapped going on like Incredicoaster
for sure
by ourselves.
And like, not every ride has a single rider. So
yes.
like I feel like, to me, that's what makes it like slightly unbelievable, is like, there's definitely a lot of times you see people that are by themselves. Like,
yes.
And definitely just feels like that feels like one of those comments that's like, I'm going to just fish for like comments.
So most comments were like 50-50, either like defending this man and his story, or there's something like this. 100% did not happen. You will not convince me this is a real interaction. This grown woman went 80s movie high school bully on you at Disney, and you told her off just right. People really like to come on Reddit to share little fantasies that play out in their heads.
Solid.
Yeah.
I think that the rebuttal back just so like perfect and to the point. Like, would you prefer that I brought them with me? Like, also, like, if you are like a 32 male and your wife is got COVID, your kid maybe had COVID as well, I think is what it said. Like, you're not gonna stay at home and like take care of your family like when they're sick. Like, you're just like, I know you said you're sick and you have COVID, but you really don't want us to waste this non-refundable money and you want me to go on a vacation without you guys. Like, not believable. That's like the last thing I can imagine you doing if you were sick, like, and had to stay home with sick kids, of being like, you know what, this is a non-refundable trip. Like, you need to just go enjoy yourself at Disneyland.
Yeah, I could never actually be putting you in that situation. Like, that would never happen.
For sure. I definitely wouldn't go on my own. Like, the last place I would want to go is to Disneyland by myself.
Yeah.
But like, there's no chance in hell that you would be like, you know what, I'm sick, the kids are sick, like, go ahead and go on a trip. Like, super unbelievable. I feel like most wives would be like that. Like, you for sure would be like, I don't care if you get COVID, like, I don't care what happens, like, you're staying here and you're helping me with this situation.
Yeah. Well, and you're only getting back a third of that. Like let's say it's like plane tickets, hotel, and Disney tickets. Like, you're still losing like 2/3 of your plane tickets and your Disneyland tickets.
For sure. And also, like, seems unbelievable as well. Like, I'm not sure when it was posted. That would maybe be some context, but like, I feel like if it happened when like COVID was definitely.
Oh, this was in the last week.
Oh yeah, no, for sure not happening then. Like, yeah, I feel like, yeah, if it was like 2 years ago, maybe. But like, I don't feel like, do people even take COVID tests anymore when they get sick?
I don't know.
Like,
okay.
Definitely fake. I'm going with fake.
I can hear our kids reaching a limit of their iPad time on the other side of the house. So I think it's time for us to wrap this up. But first episode is over. I feel like this was really fun. We're excited to do it again. And we will share the theme of next week's episode on my Instagram. It's Goodbye 20s. And I'm excited to share more about all of the crazy, wild parenting stories that happen all around us.
Yeah, for real. This has been fun. And I'm excited to hear everyone's stories for next week's prompt.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. This is a brand new podcast, so your support means so much to us. Subscribe, leave a rating, leave a comment. We can't wait to join you again next week on Monday.